My apologies. I'm the acting finance manager, Taveta.
Okay.
Chair, maybe a quick one. I didn't hear Chief Officer of Finance and Treasury and Accounting Services. I had CC.
I think let's put the governor on oath, then we can ask those questions. Next order is administration of oath and tabling of documents.
I, Andrew Modime, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give before this committee in respect of the matters before the committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
You will proceed to table your written responses.
Mr. Chairman, sir, I hereby table the following documents before the committee: management responses and accompanying annexures for the report of the Public Accounts Committee on the report of the Auditor General on audited financial statement for the County Executive, the financial year 2023-2024, and management responses and accompanying annexures on the report of the Auditor General on the receiver of revenue for the County Executive for the financial year 2023-2024.
The Auditor General, these written responses were supposed to have been circulated earlier. Please confirm whether they were and whether you are ready to guide us.
Thank you, Chair. I can confirm that Taita Taveta Executive indeed gave responses on the 30th of May, which was within the stipulated timelines, and the responses were in the form and manner that is prescribed by this committee, and we can proceed with the meeting.
Clerk of the Senate, can you confirm?
Yes, Chair, I do confirm that we received the responses within the timelines that was stipulated.
Okay, so we could proceed unless there was a preliminary matter.
Chair, maybe I didn't get it correct. Governor, where is Chief Officer of Finance, Head of Treasury, and Head of Accounting Services?
Honorable Senator is present.
Who is he?
Let me just introduce himself again.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Frederick Nganga.
You are in charge of?
CCO Finance Accounting Services.
What is CCO? I thought it's CEO. Or the Chief Officer or?
County Chief Officer.
Oh, County?
Chief Officer Finance Accounting Services.
It's not equal to Chief Officer.
It is the same.
I think it's the same. I think let's proceed if they're in the room, because if there's someone missing, then it will be to the disadvantage of the governor. I think yesterday we adjourned a meeting because a head of Treasury had disappeared, and so the meeting had to adjourn. So I hope that all the parties required are in the room, and we had also said in future that the chair of the audit committee, as well as the secretary of the audit committee, who's the internal auditor, should always accompany the governor when they appear before the Senate. So, Governor, take note of that, and we'll also prescribe that in official communication. The chair of your audit committee and the secretary to your audit committee. I'm assuming you have an audit committee in the county.
Yeah, Chair, we have.
Yeah, so it would be useful to have them in this conversation because it is directly related to what they are in office to do. Honorable members, let's then proceed to the report on the executive. Just as a background, in this financial year, we experimented with self-reporting. And so we asked entities to report on their own, to send their written responses to the issues raised by the Auditor General. We then went ahead, scrutinized those written responses, and made certain recommendations. Today, we want to establish how far you have gone in implementing those recommendations, but we would still interrogate the substantive issues because we didn't get the opportunity to interrogate them at the point we asked you to do the written responses. In the next financial year, we have realized that this self-reporting does not work very well. So in the next financial year, we will go back to proper and thorough scrutiny and interrogation of all issues. So I think, Auditor, you will lead us. If there were some issues that we had marked as resolved, when we reported to the Senate, let us point them out so that we don't have to repeat them, unless there is some doubt on the minds of members that they have not been closed.
Thank you, Chair. The report, the opinion that was given was qualified, and issue number 1, transfer to other government entities. The statement of receipts and payments and note 6 to the financial statement reflects 779,457,444 as transfers to other government entities. Included in the transfers is an amount transfers from the county executive of 428,339,899 and Kenya and nil to Taveta Water and Sanitation Company Limited and Level 4 hospitals, while the respective institutions' financial statement reflected amounts of 373,103,336 and 79,696,527, resulting to unexplained variances of 55,296,563 and 79,696,527 respectively. In the circumstances, the accuracy and completeness of the transfer to other government entities of 79,457,444 could not be confirmed.
What was our recommendation, Clerk of the Senate?
Chair, we had 3 recommendations on this. First, the governor to undertake administrative action against responsible officers who failed to provide documents. 2, ISPAC takes action against the head of Treasury for late submission of the financial statements. 3, the Office of the County Governor ensures strict adherence to the Public Sector Accounting Standards Board regulations by submitting accurate and reliable reconciliation of the financial statements in the prescribed format, in the prescribed timelines.
Now, those recommendations were made on the basis of your earlier written responses, and we will now need to find out whether you have taken action, and if you have not taken action, explain why. And then we'll also have to come back to confirm whether the amounts have been reconciled. So, Governor, you may read your response.
Chair, the amounts have been reconciled, and also we took action. That's why.
What you do, Governor, you are not a stranger to these proceedings. Just read your management response, and you can explain at the end.
Our management response is no administration has been taken against the responsible officer, given that cash book and bank statement extracts showing the amount of Kenya shillings 373,103,336 is supported as having been disbursed to Taveta Water and Sanitation Company Limited as see attached Appendix 1A. Further, the management of Taveta Water and Sanitation Company Limited acknowledged the receipt of the amount via a letter confirming the funds were received. See attached Appendix 1B. In addition, the management of Taveta Water and Sanitation Company Limited has provided cash book and bank statement extracts on the receipts of the transferred amount of Kenya shillings 373,103, 336 shillings. See attached as Appendix 1C. On Level 4 hostel, the management has provided cash book extracts for transfers to Level 4 hostels. See attached Appendix 2A. Currently, the amounts collected under level 4 hospitals do not swipe to CRF as per the FIF Act 57, subsection 5. See the FIF extract attached. See attached Appendix 2B.
You've reached the end. Yeah, Auditor General, tell us why you are still not satisfied with that. Let's first look at the reconciliation before we go back to the need for administrative action. Have the amounts been reconciled as per the appendices provided?
Chair, the transfers from the county executive to Tavevo shows 428,399,899. Tavevo cash book extract shows 373,103,336. And to that extent, management of the county executive should explain the difference, because no reconciliation has been done towards this end. Further, level 4 hospitals, according to the financial statement for the county executive, it indicates nil transfer, but scrutiny of level 4 hospitals indicates that there was a transfer of 79,696,527. So the differences, as mentioned, have not been reconciled.
But Leonard, when I look at note 6, transfer to other government entities, I can see Tavevo Water and Sanitation, 373 million. I can see level 4 hospital, 79 million. So are these recast financial statements or what? Because I'm not seeing the 428 million that you're referring to in note 6.
Yeah, your chair, the 373 is as stated in the financial statement is correctly as 373 and 79. But in terms of reconciling, we go to Tavevo Water and get a corresponding financial statement to confirm that what has been sent is actually what has been received. And that's why now we are saying the difference is between what has been received in Tavevo Water and what has been indicated in Taita Taveta as being sent, we're not reconciling. Because also for level 4.
But Nandabwa, I thought you said that Tavevo received 373 million when you went to the Tavevo statements, while the respective institutions' financial statements reflected amounts of 373 million and 79 million. Which ties with what I'm seeing in note 6.
Okay. What has happened is that there's a difference of 55. That was 423 and 373.
Where is 423 in note 6? Where is that row with 423? Because you had said in your finding that there was nil to Tavevo included in the transfers at an amount of 428, there was Kenya shillings nil to Tavevo. I am seeing here 373. But these financial statements recast after your findings.
The financial statements are correctly stated. It is the findings, the way they have been written, the figures were interchanged. Because
what is the variance?
The variance between Tavevo Water and Taita Taveta is 55.
55 what?
55,296,563. And the variance between what was indicated in the level 4 hospital, we could not trace the amount disbursed. So in the level 4 hospital is 0, but reflected in the transfer here is 79. So that's why we are saying the difference of 55.
So 79. The books at Tavevo indicate how much money was received?
428. That's why I was saying we cannot reconcile.
And the executive is 373.
Yes.
So are you disowning your finding? Because your finding says that nil was transferred to Tavevo, and the financial statements of Tavevo had 373 million.
Our finding indicates that nil was received at level 4 hospital and 79 was indicated as transferred. That's why it can indicate.
Is that the English interpretation of this finding? Your finding says that nil was transferred, but 373 was received.
Your chair, that's what I'm saying. In the reporting, that's why there was an error and the figures were interchanged.
So there's an error in the audit observation.
Yes, because
yes, that's what we need to establish. So in that case, what is the problem? Are you saying that they transferred 373, and yet in Tavevo they received more than 373?
No, we are not saying it is they have received so they received more. It is these figures were not reconciled, because when you transfer a figure, we need to trace it in the recipient entity. Now that figure that was indicated as transferred, when you do a follow-up in the financial statement or in the cash book extract, we could not get the similar amount being received. That's why now we talk of reconciliation. What you transfer.
Auditor, where do we find this figure of 428 million? Where is it?
In the financial statement of Tavevo Water.
The financial statements of Tavevo Water. But Tavevo is indicating that they received 373 million.
What we are doing is we are reconciling the financial statement. What has been indicated.
Ondabwa, please tell us whether this audit query as framed is what we should be considering. As framed. And if it needs to be amended, then amend it so that we deal with the amended form.
Okay. Yes, it will have to be reframed to reflect the actual financial statement figure for Taita, Taveta, and for Taveta.
So can you reframe it so that we are dealing with your amended audit observation? Because the way it is, I do not see a problem with the manner in which Note 6 was prepared. Leonard, am I lost?
Chair, I think what we need to have said here is that included in the transfers is an amount of 428,399,899, reflected in the statement of Tavevo Water, and nil amount transferred reflected in the financial statement for the county executive, while the level 4 hospitals indicate 79,696,527. A scrutiny of financial records at the county executive showed that they transferred 373,103,336, resulting to variances of 55,296,563 in respect of Tavevo Water, and 79,696,527 in respect of level 4 hospitals. So the interchange here is 428,399 in the records of Tavevo Water, and 373,103,336 in the records of Taita Taveta County Executive.
So they, in the financial statements here, they sent 373.
Yes.
But Tavevo received 420.
The records reflect 428 million.
Okay, so Governor, how do you explain that gap, if that then is the audit query?
Chair, maybe through our officer Boniface can explain us in details.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. But the reason for the variance was because part of the disbursement was done towards the end of the financial year. So at the county, it was counted as released, yet at Tavevo, the funds came in on the 10th of July. So there was that variance, the timing variance caused this discrepancy between what we have at Tavevo and what the county has.
Is Tavevo on cash or accrual basis?
It's on accrual basis.
Auditor General, would that be a likely, there could be a likelihood, but it has to be proven, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the different basis of accounting might lead to those kind of inconsistencies.
Yes, so we need reconciliation.
But have they proven that that was the case?
No, Chair. So maybe they could.
So what's the difficulty, Governor, for your team to explain that? Because if a layman like me can see it, why can't your team explain it?
Governor, through my officer Boniface.
Chair, we commit that we shall reconcile this and communicate with the office of the audit OAG on the same.
Well, we are here to make final recommendations. I don't think we are here to conduct a fresh audit. I'm disappointed. In fact, this is why now we might need to revisit the administrative action that ought to be taken. This is a very simple matter. First of all, you should have raised this in the management letter that the manner in which the auditor reported this was not accurate. He didn't have to take the Senate to reframe it. Then you should have explained this easily, and this matter would not have come in this report. Governor, give us the way forward before we pronounce ourselves.
Chair, already we have advertised position for the financial management, sir.
Because he did not provide this explanation, or what? Because this is a very small matter.
Yeah, it's a small matter, Chair, but you see, we have been trying to restructure as per the earlier instructions by your committees, Chair.
I think what you need to focus on more is serious application of yourselves and your minds to the audit process. And that's why I said the chair of your audit committee, the secretary to the audit committee need to be part of this. Because if I sat with the Auditor General at the exit meeting, I would have challenged that finding. But then once he has clarified, I would have been able to provide the documentation, if indeed that is the explanation.
Chair, bleed, and in future we shall follow your advice as what you have just said.
Auditor, what is your advice on how to resolve, because we cannot resolve it, it can only be looked at in the subsequent audit cycle.
Chair, since our teams are already there and they are required by law to report or to provide financial statements by 30th of August. When we get the financials, I believe by then they shall have reconciled.
Okay, keep this in view. Do not drop it unless the reconciliation is done. If the reconciliation is not done, then have it in the audit report. And I think if Governor, if this cannot be reconciled, then we shall bring back the recommendation of taking firm administrative action, and maybe the Institute of Public Accountants to take action on their professionals. This is very basic accounting that should not go unexplained. So let's allow the auditor to report on it in the next cycle, and if it's not reconciled, we'll make very adverse recommendations. We can proceed to number 2. Was not
Yes, Chair,
Auditor?
this matter was adequately addressed in our March engagement, and it was not in your recommendations.
Okay, so we can mark that as resolved.
Yes.
Number 3, misclassification of expenditure.
Misclassification of expenditure. Note 9 to the financial statements reflects acquisition of assets amount of 228,228,347, out of which an amount of 1,300,000 was misclassified expenditure incurred on fuel, oil, lubricants, instead of being charged under use of goods and services. In the circumstances, the accuracy and completeness of acquisition of assets of 228,228,347 347 could not be confirmed.
Because you had done self-reporting, we looked at your written responses and we gave certain recommendations. Clerk, what were the summarized recommendations?
Chair, the recommendation on this matter was as the issue number 1 above.
So it was to take administrative action on the officers and also ensure strict adherence to the Public Sector Accounting Standards Board. But the question is whether the 1.3 million has been properly accounted for. Let's get the governor's report. Governor, what have you done so far?
Chair, the expenditure relates to roads and other infrastructure that was paid for MATIANG'I. See attached a list of roads and playing fields, their completion certificates and the inspection and acceptance. Appendix 3A.
Governor, I'm struggling to follow your response. The auditor's query was about misclassification. You have not explained anything about why it was misclassified.
Honorable Member, for further details, I have my officer at CCM for roads, Martin, can give us answers and details to this. Martin Thairu.
Thank you, Chair and honorable members. To further explain, the issue is that as a county we have some assets that we normally use for road maintenance, equipment that we use for road maintenance. And once in a while in some of our budgets, specifically the ones for ward equalization budgets, when we set aside funds for road maintenance, they're usually set aside in form of fuel and lubricants, and they're used for road maintenance. It's an issue that we have conversed with the auditors. The first issue is that the information had not been given and it was required, and I believe through the Office of the County Secretary, some administrative action had already been taken against.
I think restrict yourself to proving to us where that 1.3 million is in the appendix 3A that the governor has referred to.
Thank you, Chair and honorable members. So in the appendix we've attached a list of a schedule of the roads and playing fields that were maintained using that fund that was availed in form of fuel while utilizing our county machinery and equipment.
Where is that? You've got a lot of documents. Just show us that these were the fuel vouchers for grader number XYZ.
Appendix 3A.
Where in Appendix 3A? There's a lot of papers here. There are certificates of practical completion.
Or 3A is not one document. That's what we are saying. And I'm struggling to understand why you are the one answering this question. I thought misclassification is a financial reporting issue, and the people with finance background should be the ones explaining to us how you classify fuel as acquisition of assets. Why are you the one speaking to us?
Honorable Member, this executive member is multitasked. He's a CPK finalist and at the same time, and we normally use in both directions.
Is he a signatory to the financial statements?
Yes, he's an architecture and
Is he a signatory to this financial statements?
No, he's not.
Because Senator Sifuna is right. Fine, he can give us a background on how the funds were used, and then the finance people will have that discussion on whether this should be capitalized or this should be looked at as operation. So what he should do is to show us that this 1.3 million was attached to the machinery you are talking about, because if the 1.3 million was attached to the governor's vehicle, then it is operation, then it is misclassification. Auditor General, you scrutinized this appendix. Does it answer the query?
No, Chair. The issue here is if the same was disclosed in the BQ, indicating that fuel oil, lubricants is part of, is included in the particular BQ that supports this particular contract, then that would have been okay. But the fact that this was not disclosed in the BQ makes it a misclassified expenditure, because ordinarily it should be charged under use of goods and services unless specified in the BQ that was used to operationalize the contract.
So, officer, help us so that we are not engaged in an academic conversation.
Chair, there is a receipt here, I'm seeing, for a filling station for 1.3 million.
Yes,
It doesn't say anything. It doesn't tell us whose vehicle is being fueled here. And next time, Governor, please paginate your document. Even when you divide it into annexures like this, run a number from 1 to the end so that we're able to see.
You can't trace that receipt now. The absence of a number, of numbering. Is it at the end or somewhere in the middle?
Somewhere in the middle there.
Thank you, Chair and honorable members. In terms of how the fuel has been classified, the fuel is normally procured through the framework contract to one fuel station as per the procurement guidelines. And then as a department, we go and draw the fuel using detailed orders tagged to a specific ward and a specific project.
The ones you should give us, are they here? Because I can see one receipt that does not say anything about, it doesn't even say the product.
Yes, so we have attached the completion certificates that indicate specifically, if I can just give an example.
Brother, completion certificates for fuel. You have said there are specific drawdowns for the vehicles when they are being fueled.
Yes.
Are those documents here? Those are the ones you should talk about, not completion certificates for roads. Sure. We want to see that these 1.3 million fuel specific vehicles. Where is that document?
Chair and honorable members, we had provided the documents to the auditors, but unfortunately we've not attached them to
No,
to
the
this.
auditor says they haven't seen them. That's why it's still outstanding.
Now, this document here, it says something point filling station. Which filling station is that? Can you see your receipt number 333, the one you have attached?
Just a moment.
1.3 million.
Unfortunately, it has no date, so you're not sure. It might be used in every financial year. Maybe they started using this in 2014.
If you are struggling to find your own documents, you can imagine our predicament.
Maybe, Chair, the other question would ask is if the executive is in agreement with the auditor that if you want to use fuel and lubricants and acquisition of assets, then that fuel must be in the BQs in future.
Clerk, can you share my bundle with him so that we don't waste time?
Governor, your star player is collapsing on the field. Is he familiar with these documents?
Yes, I am familiar, Chair.
So if you're familiar, why did you put that receipt there without a date? First of all, is that even admissible?
In fact, Chair, we wanted to start at the top. I cannot make out the name of that filling station. What is that filling station called?
It's called Tsavo Auto Point Filling Station in Voi.
I can't see that from mine. What is the date?
The receipt is not dated, Chair.
Do you see what is being bought? Does it say what
the
is being
particulars?
What was being purchased from this filling station?
Be water and Red Bull from the shop.
The next page, Chair.
We are talking about the receipt, bro. You have given us receipt number 333. What does it say?
The next page is receipt number 320.
The payment voucher details the particulars and the quantities of what has been paid for.
You're going to get us upset. A receipt should show you what is being purchased. We purchase fuel as well. We get receipts from filling stations. You can just agree that that receipt does not disclose what is being bought. It has no date. There are no particulars here. Why did you attach it?
Chair and honorable members, I think it was attached by mistake, and we can commit that this would not happen again.
It's not a real receipt. Is it a real receipt? Or
It's a photocopy of the receipt.
Of a real receipt?
Yes, Chair.
Why are you saying it's a wrong attachment?
But surely a receipt without a date and without particulars does not say anything.
Yeah, Chair, you remember there was a very interesting entity that brought us some receipts from some backwater shops, apparently supposed to explain some expenditures. I don't see the difference between these ones and those ones.
I think it's the same category. Because, you see, Governor, we started with an academic conversation on classification, whether this money should be capitalized or should be reported as operations. But now we can't even tell whether the money was spent for the intended purpose. Now we are looking at potential loss. Initially it was accounting treatment. Now we are not even convinced that the 1.3 million was used for the purpose described here. Because if this is your evidence, then I will reach the conclusion that this money was stolen, if this is the evidence. Now, if you are familiar with your own records, then you'd probably want to go back to your payment voucher and tell us what that is about.
Well, by the way, officer, which brand of fuel are these border point filling stations?
Diesel.
Which brand? Like, is it a Shell station?
Servo Auto Point is Total.
And border point filling station?
Border Point is not branded, it's Border Point.
I don't know if that, I am a member of the Energy Committee. I don't know if that petrol station exists anywhere else in this country.
It actually exists in Taita, Taveta County.
So it just exists in Taita?
Our county has 4 sub-counties. Taveta sub-county, which is served by fuel stations that are not branded. Or they're not the popular brands, but it's branded as a Border Point filling station.
Chair, I want to go down the rabbit hole with this young man, because I would be very interested to know why a government entity would be procuring fuel from a backwater filling station. Who owns this? Do you know who owns this filling station?
It's a local businessman in Taita, Taveta County. Yes.
Okay.
Well, we have a precedent in Samburu. I think the former governor for Samburu was convicted over some of these conflict of interest cases. And, you know, we didn't even have to talk about these things. But when you bring us this kind of thing as a receipt to justify expenditure, my committee members are justified to ask every question that they're asking. So was the 1.3 million spent on fuel?
Yes, Chair and honorable members, I can confirm that it was spent on fuel.
Provide the evidence that it was spent on fuel. Is this receipt your evidence?
No, Chair, but I can
commit. If this receipt is your evidence, then I'll hand it over to EACC so that they can deal with it.
This receipt, Chair, is not evidence, but we have all the detailed orders, and we can commit to submit them to the committee immediately after leaving this